Hello guys, welcome to my Photoshop tutorial. In this video I'm going to explain how to resize any image without reducing the quality of the image, because we're not going to focus on normal stretching methods that completely mess up the image in other ways. We're going to resize it to any size we want by adding borders, which could be of any color. For this specific tutorial, we're going to see how to add blurry sides so that the image is successfully resized without reducing quality. So let's do it. Take a look at this Pave Banner 3A JPEG file. And as you can see, this is a squarish image with a specific resolution. And we're going to change this into a rectangular version. And we're going to do that in Photoshop by adding blurred sides to it so that we have our fixed size without reducing the quality. Now, there's no straightforward way of doing that. I wish there would be an option so that we can just single click on the size and it adds blurred size on its own, but it turns out that there isn't, so we have to do this manually. So let's open this in Photoshop. So we're gonna go with open with Adobe Photoshop 2020. Loading. Okay, so as you can see, has a ratio of 2736 pixels to 1824 pixels. So if we want to make a rectangular size, let's pick a random size. Let's say 2700 into 350. I guess let's take a look at this one, guys. This is another picture. This one. Actually, let me pick the size. Yeah, so let's go with 2400 times 700 pixels. We're going to restructure this so that we don't reduce the quality of this image, but at the same time we have blurry sides to it. Okay, so first of all, we need to decide whether we want to crop the image at all, because the more you crop, the better it is and the less amount of blurry sides you eventually will have. So since this is going to be a rectangular picture, we realize that we don't need the upper parts or the lower parts, so we might choose to crop it. But if you don't want to crop it, that's fine too. So first of all, we're going to press C, and as you can see, I already have a 2400 times 700 default. So you can select anything you want and the box will change. So I'm going to go with 2400 times 700. But obviously I don't want to cut out the entire image. The purpose is to fit the entire image within this box and have blurry sides at the edges where the images did not cover. So all we can do is, this box already has the aspect ratio locked, so all we have to do is increase it until it fits the image. So as you can see, we still have the bottom part left to fit. And there you go. And you press Alt to zoom out in Photoshop. So let's zoom out. Obviously, we don't want this image to be at the side, so you press C again, and we bring this image. We bring this image at the middle. And I guess you understand by now that we're going to add the blurry borders to the sides of this, because we're making a square image into a rectangle, so we have to fill the sides. So to make sure that it's completely at the middle, we have to make sure that the sides do not are in agreement. So try to make sure this is 0 all the way. 770. There you go. So we have 0 on both ends, which means that the image is perfectly in the middle. And with that out of the way, you can clearly see that since we have the new size of the image set, but the entire image embedded in this, we are ready to add the blurry ends. But this is where I do a little trick. I don't need the top part here. That seems a little bit excessive. I also don't need the bottom part reading US Army, which is pretty much not part of the main picture. The main picture is about these people. So I am going to extend the image a little bit so that the blurry ends are as less as possible. So what we can do is we can extend, we can actually decrease this so that we focus more on the, I just reduced the blurry end. So the thing that is eventually going to be the blurry end. So we can reduce this more until we have the desired middle picture, as much of it as we need, and not more, not less. So again, it's in the middle. I can reduce it a little bit more, or I can drag it up. Let's reduce it a little bit more, focusing on the people, making sure that the blurry ends are as less as possible. And there you go. So we'll keep this. So click on anything else, and there you go. We have the picture of the people, focused on the people, not too much of other pictures. And we have our white ends, which are eventually going to be blurred out. So like I said, there's no straightforward way to do this. We have to do this manually. Actually, I'd like to crop a little bit more, so let's press C again. Perfect. Let's keep this. All right. Oh, let's make sure it's in the middle. Okay, so it's in the middle, and we're focusing on the picture. We've cropped it as much as we need to make sure that the sides are as less as possible, are occupying as less of a space as possible. Okay, so now what we need to do is, since we can't blur out the sides automatically, we're going to we're going to select a section of this image. Actually, we're going to select the section of the size, so that we know how much of the sides we need to cover. So this is the amount we need to cover. So we take the selection into our image, and then what we need to do is we need to copy this layer. So layer via copy. Now that this layer has been copied, we move the layer all the way here. Pretty simple. So now we have this image, which is the first layer, and this image, which is the second layer, but we need a blurry side, so we just blur out this layer. So we go to filter, and we have already selected this layer, remember. So we go to filter, blur. I like the Gaussian blur a lot, so we're going to select that. And there you go. It's blurred out. So click OK. That seems about right. And then, once again, for the right side, we're going to see how much of a space this actually needs. So as you can see, it's 826 into something, whatever it is. I move the selection here, and then I click layer via copy. Oh, okay, so I just have to click the right layer. All right, background. Oh, my bad. Let's just select again. Sometimes that happens. Move the selection here, and then layer via copy, and then move it to where we need it to occupy the space, and then filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and blur it out. This, you can actually increase or decrease the blur. I like it at 72.6 specifically. So wait, 72.6. I have OCD about this stuff. Okay, so, and now it's blurred out equally impressively. All right, so we click OK after that, and we have two blurry sides, which has successfully resized this initially square image into a rectangular form with blurry sides. And it, like I said, there's no straightforward way to do this, so that's how we do it manually. And that's pretty much it. Now you might think that, okay, Photoshop has a weird blur. This side, there are a little bit of whites over here. So what do we do about that? Well, it's pretty simple. You click on this, and then you go to Edit. You click Free Transform. What you need to do after that is decrease it. So as you can see, the blur actually fades out, which is why you usually see whites near the actual picture and the blurred version. So if you don't like that, after decreasing it, the reason why I decreased it is so that I can freely remove the white part to make it more distinct. So after you have decreased the size of the blurred version, you click on Edit. Sorry, you deselect this, and then you select the part you want to remove, which is basically this, and then you click Edit, and then you go with Clear, and then it's gone. See, I just made it more distinct. Now, you deselect the selected part, and you go to Edit again, and then you go back to Free Transform it. This was previously selected, and then you put it back up. You can move it if you want, and there you go. Slightly better. Cool. You can do the same thing with this, but in this picture specifically speaking, it's not the better option. So I'm gonna go back to my initial. Yeah, there you go. This actually looks better for this specific picture, but for some pictures you might want to do that because the white parts really stick out on those other pictures. So you just decrease the size of the blurred version, then clear out the sides to make it more distinct and put it back to where it belonged. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope this helps you.